On winter mornings in Leningrad, the city felt heavy with silence. The streets were narrow, the buildings tall and worn, and the cold seemed to press into people's bones. In a shared apartment, where privacy was rare and patience was learned early, a quiet boy grew up watching adults carefully. He learned when to speak and when to stay silent. He learned how power worked, not from books, but from how people behaved when authority entered the room. That boy was Vladimir Putin. His childhood was not comfortable, and it was not dramatic in the way movies like to show. It was ordinary in a tough way. Food was simple. Space was limited. Neighbors heard everything. In that environment, you learn to protect yourself, not by shouting, but by observing. You learn that strength did not always look loud. Sometimes it looked controlled. Sometimes it looked patient. As a child, he was small and often overlooked. That bothered him. He did not like feeling weak or invisible. On the streets, respect mattered, and respect was earned. He found it in discipline. He found it in martial arts, where rules were clear and effort was rewarded. Training taught him balance, focus, and endurance. It also taught him something deeper. If you stay calm while others lose control, you gain an advantage. School did not immediately reveal a future leader. Teachers saw a student who was average at first, then steadily more serious. He was not chasing popularity. He was building something inside himself. He read books about intelligence services and spies, fascinated by people who worked in shadows, shaping events without applause. To him, power that stayed hidden seemed stronger than power that begged to be seen. When he was older, he applied to join the security services. He did not wait to be invited. He knocked on the door himself. That moment said a lot about him. He did not see himself as someone chosen by destiny. He saw himself as someone who would place himself where decisions were made. Training in the intelligence world rewarded his natural traits. Discipline, loyalty, and silence were not just encouraged, they were required. He learned to gather information, to read people's intentions, and to think several steps ahead. Mistakes were costly. Trust was limited. Emotions were controlled. Later, he was sent abroad. Life outside his homeland showed him another world. He watched how other societies functioned, how confidence and weakness appeared in different forms. He also watched the slow unraveling of the system he served. When the Soviet Union began to collapse, it did not feel like a celebration to him. It felt like chaos. Structures disappeared. Certainty vanished. People who once felt proud now felt lost. That period left a deep mark. When he returned home, the country was changing fast. Old rules were gone. New ones were unclear. Power was scattered, and wealth moved quickly into the hands of a few. Many people felt betrayed. Others felt free. Putin saw disorder. He believed disorder invited humiliation. And humiliation, in his mind, was something a nation should never accept. He did not arrive in politics with grand speeches. He entered quietly, through administration and organization. He worked under leaders who underestimated him. That suited him fine. While others argued in public, he focused on loyalty, efficiency, and control. He built relationships carefully. He remembered who helped him and who did not. In the capital, his rise surprised many. He appeared calm, almost plain. No dramatic gestures. No fiery language. But behind that calm was a sharp sense of timing. When opportunities appeared, he took them without hesitation. When rivals made mistakes, he waited. Then came the moment when the country needed a new face. The previous era had exhausted people. They wanted stability. They wanted order. Putin presented himself as exactly that. A man of discipline. A man who would restore strength. His message was simple, even when his methods were complex. As leader, he moved quickly to centralize authority. Regions that once acted independently were brought closer under control. Media voices grew more cautious. Political opponents found the space around them shrinking. To his supporters, this was necessary cleanup after chaos. To his critics, it was the beginning of something darker. Putin did not govern with emotion. He governed with calculation. He believed that a strong state required a strong hand. Compromise, in his view, often looked like weakness. Internationally, he watched how other powers acted, especially how they spoke about values while pursuing their own interests. He learned from that, and he rarely forgot a slight. At home, many citizens felt life becoming more predictable. Salaries arrived on time. Pensions stabilized. Pride slowly returned. People who valued order over freedom supported him strongly. Others worried about what was being lost quietly in the process. As years passed, Putin's image shifted from administrator to symbol. To some, he represented national revival. To others, he represented control and fear. He seemed comfortable with that division. He never tried to be universally loved. Respect mattered more than affection. One thing remained constant: his belief that Russia must never appear weak. In speeches and actions, that idea surfaced again and again. History, he believed, punished nations that showed hesitation. Strength, even when criticized, earned a seat at the table, but power has a cost. The more authority he gathered, the more responsibility he carried. Every decision echoed far beyond the room where it was made. Allies became cautious. Opponents became louder. The world watched more closely, and still, he stayed calm. Behind the public image was a man shaped by scarcity, discipline, and collapse. A man who trusted systems more than people, and loyalty more than ideals. Whether history will judge him as a restorer or a ruler who held too tightly is still unfolding. The international stage is unforgiving. For Vladimir Putin, it became a place where every handshake, every pause, and every word carried meaning. He did not rush. He observed. He waited for moments when hesitation by others created openings he could use. In his eyes, patience was more than a virtue, it was a weapon. The world watched as he consolidated power at home, but abroad, he presented himself differently. Meetings with leaders from other nations were performances of confidence. He listened more than he spoke, and when he did speak, he chose words that revealed strategy without exposing weakness. Diplomacy, for him, was a chess game. Each move calculated to protect national interests and expand influence. Inside Russia, the economy was uneven. Some sectors boomed, others struggled. Yet he understood the power of narrative. The image of a strong Russia mattered as much as actual growth. Citizens needed a sense of pride, a story that made them feel the nation could stand tall again. That narrative gave him leverage, both with the public and with political elites. Conflicts, both domestic and foreign, tested his leadership. Decisions were often controversial, and consequences were real. He learned early that perception could be as powerful as action. Controlling how the country was seen mattered. International criticism often reinforced his message at home. For him, being criticized abroad was proof of influence, not failure. Over time, he developed a reputation for resilience. Personal attacks, political challenges, and sudden crises rarely seemed to shake him. That calm exterior concealed constant calculation. Every public gesture was purposeful. Every statement measured. Even in moments of apparent spontaneity, there was strategy beneath the surface. He also understood the role of history. Russia, in his mind, was a nation with scars and pride intertwined. Historical memory shaped the present. Losses from past conflicts, perceived slights, and territorial changes all influenced his decisions. Appearing strong was a way to prevent humiliation, both for himself and for the country he led. Weakness, in his view, could never be an option. Allies were chosen carefully. Loyalty mattered more than brilliance. Those who could be relied upon were kept close. Those who threatened the hierarchy were sidelined, subtly or overtly. Political survival, he knew, depended on a network that could deliver action without chaos. Over decades, he built that network meticulously. The global stage, however, brought unpredictable challenges. Other nations pursued their own interests, sometimes openly, sometimes covertly. Putin's approach combined confrontation and cooperation, always with the goal of protecting what he considered Russia's rightful position in the world. Calculated risk replaced emotion. History, in his view, rewarded those who moved decisively, even if the consequences were harsh. Technology and media became another tool in his strategy. Information could shape opinion, both inside and outside the country. Controlling narratives, highlighting achievements, and emphasizing threats created a sense of inevitability around his policies. To critics, this was manipulation. To supporters, it was leadership in a complex modern world. Yet, for all the strategy and public image, he remained shaped by the lessons of his youth. Discipline, observation, and patience guided him. The boy who once navigated crowded apartments and harsh winters carried those instincts into boardrooms and command centers. Strength was still defined not by brute force alone, but by endurance, precision, and the ability to act when opportunity arose. As years passed, the personal and the political intertwined. Decisions made in private had consequences on a global scale. Allies adjusted their strategies. Rivals recalibrated. Citizens watched, debated, and reacted. Every action, from domestic policies to foreign interventions, became part of a larger narrative that Putin controlled carefully. Throughout it all, he remained aware that power is temporary. Authority must be maintained continuously, and perception can shift quickly. He knew that history, like people, can be unforgiving. Legacy mattered. Every move added to a story he wanted to be remembered, the story of restoring strength, of refusing to accept weakness, and of navigating a world that rarely waits for anyone. Vladimir Putin's story is not just about politics. It is about a person shaped by hardship, discipline, and observation. A boy who learned to survive and thrive in a tough environment, who became a man determined to protect his vision of his country, and who rose to a position where the choices he made affected millions of lives around the world. His journey shows that leadership can be quiet, calculated, and relentless. It also shows how early experiences shape decisions decades later. Strength, patience, and control can define both personal and national destiny. And for those watching, it is a story of ambition, resilience, and the relentless pursuit of influence. I share stories like this every day. Subscribe so you don't miss the next one.